Good day, everyone, and welcome. Maria's first on there. How are you doing? Good day. And CJ and Sister Jeannie and Denise Gilmore. I was errant in not mentioning our nun, Sister Jeannie. We kept calling her by her first name without her title. And so thank you very much for coming today. Thank you, CJ, for your donation, and thank you, Peter, from Ireland, for yours. I really, really appreciate it. You've replenished my my PayPal. Okay. So today I got a few things. It's kind of long. I want to get to it right away, but it's very fruitful. And again, it's on the benefits of that aridness and dryness period that one goes through when they are in the dark night of the soul. I hate everything's out of focus if I got these on. And so it's very important that we understand how this process works so that we don't get discouraged. And we move through the virtues as we go. And we pray that everyone can at least understand a little bit about this process, because it is the way to get to the transforming union. Okay, what else? Anything else? Tomorrow is Friday. Today's Thursday, May 2nd, and it's 2024. Numbers are very good. It appears that when I have the thumbnail of me, I get more views. I guess people don't like just a generic picture of a saint or something. So, which is good because we're getting a lot of interaction and trolls as well, Masonic paid trolls. Okay, so don't be discouraged in case you see them trying to question me or others. That's okay. I'm just a regular guy, to be honest with you, perfectly honest with you. I'm not doing this for money like they are. They get paid to bother people. And under a Catholic monarchy, that will stop. Okay? You don't get paid to interfere with truth and just sinful behavior. You're not going to get paid for that. You have to have an honest working position. It's incredible. I was watching, here I go, these scammers out there in India. There's a plethora of these organizations out there with no conscience whatsoever, stealing mostly old people's life savings. They have no conscience whatsoever. And really, they're the pits of hell that they're going to be wallowing in, surrounded by money in fire. It's just going to be incredible. In any case, let's get started with morning prayers, and then we'll get right into the lesson for today. In nomine Dei, matronam nostre, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany and humbly adore the divine family. Deum matronam nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Most holy and venerable Trinitarian Theophany, one divine family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thy infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Dea Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Divine Family for the many graces that we receive, and offer our sufferings and ourselves up to Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. O Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O Trinitarian Theophany, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us, the Trinitarian Theophany. Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O Trinitarian Theophany, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Deum Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because they offend thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany. Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. And tomorrow, it being Friday, I'm going to do a little talk on one or two topics. One being the loss of family and friends during this conversion process, either in the dark night or beyond. So we begin this subchapter of other benefits this night of sense produces in the soul. As to the imperfections these beginners were wont to entertain in regard to soulful avarice, in which they coveted this and the other soulful gift, and the soul was never satisfied with these and the other exercises, so great was her sensual cupidity, and the relish she found therein. Now in this dark and thirsty night she walks reformed indeed, for, as she no longer finds the same delight and savor as before, rather nausea and difficulty, she makes use of them with such moderation that perchance she is now as much exposed to lose by remissness as before she lost by excess. Although to those whom the Trinitarian Theophany places in this night, it generally give humility and promptness, but yet not without nausea, to the end that they perform what they are bidden for the sake of the Trinitarian Theophany alone. And they get quit of many things because they find no relish therein. As to spiritual or soulful voluptuousness, it is also clearly seen that by this same aridness and physical nausea which repels the soul in soulful things, she shakes herself loose from these impurities we there pointed out, which, as we stated, generally proceeded from the fortuitous overflowing of the delight experienced by the soul into the senses. But as to the imperfections in respect of the fourth vice, which is soulful gluttony, whereof the soul rids herself in this dark night, they may be seen under that heading, although, inasmuch as they are innumerable, they are not all set down, and therefore I shall not refer to them here, for I were now fain to bring this night to a close, so as to pass on to the next, wherein we shall find grave doctrine. Suffice it therefore to say, in order to gauge the numberless graces, which besides those mentioned, the soul achieves in this night against the vice of soulful gluttony, that she delivers herself from all those imperfections there set down, and from many other and graver evils than are there mentioned, wherein many we have known have fallen, because they had not reformed their desire for this soulful dainty. Because, as the Trinitarian Theophany in this dark and arid night, wherein they place the soul, reigns in the concupiscence and curbs the appetite after such sort, that it may scarce admit of any longing for anything, whether of heaven or earth, and gradually increases this until, as the soul becomes reformed, mortified, and strengthened in order of her concupiscence and desires, her passions seem to lose their strength, whereupon, by means of this soulful sobriety, besides those already mentioned, marvelous gifts are conferred upon her, because with this mortification of her desires and concupiscence, she dwells in soulful tranquility and peace. For where desire and concupiscence no longer reigns, disquiet cannot enter. Only the divine family's peace and comfort. Hence proceeds another second benefit, and it is that the soul bears about with her a constant memory of the Trinitarian Theophany, with a dread and error of falling back, as we have said, on the soulful road, the which is a great mercy, and not of the least, in this dryness and purgation of the appetite, because the soul is purified and cleansed from the imperfections which clung to her by reason of her appetites and affections, which of themselves blunt and obscure her radiance. There is another very great benefit for the soul in this night, and it is that she applies herself to virtue wholesale, as it were, such as patience and long-suffering, which she indeed learns by practice in these drynesses and emptiness, and patience to persevere in spiritual exercises without comfort and without relish. She is practiced in the charity of the Trinitarian Theophany, since she is no longer moved by the taste and savor she finds in the matter, but by the divine family alone. Likewise, she now practices the virtue of fortitude, because in these difficulties and nauseas she finds inaction. She draws strength from weakness, and so waxes strong. And finally, in these drynesses, the soul is exercised in all virtues, whether cardinal, theological, or moral. And that in this night the soul achieves all these four benefits we have here set down, to wit, the great delight of peace, a constant memory of the divine family, and her own cleanness and purity, besides the practices of the virtues we have just named. In respect of the imperfections of the other three soulful vices, or spiritual vices we there spoke of, which are envy, wrath, and slothfulness, the soul is also purged in this draught of the appetite, and acquires the opposite virtues thereto. For softened and humiliated by these aridnesses and difficulties, and other temptations and trials, wherein the Trinitarian Theophany proves her in many other ways than by this night, she becomes gentle in regard to the divine family, and in regard to herself, and also as regards her neighbor, so that she no longer waxes passionately wrathful against herself for her own faults, nor against her neighbors for theirs, nor does she harbor insolent discontent and displeasure against the Trinitarian Theophany, because they do not make her righteous all at once. Then, as to envy, she now also bears charity toward others. For if she feels any envy, it is no longer vicious as before, when it was grievous to her that others should be preferred before her and bear away the palm. For to her now, at length, it has been given in the perception of her own utter misery, and the envy she feels, if there is any, is virtuous, desiring to imitate them, the which is great virtue. Neither is the sluggishness and tediousness she now feels in soulful things vicious as of yore, for that she entertained proceeded from the soulful relishes which at times she experienced and tried to procure when they were absent. But this weariness does not proceed from any failure to obtain spiritual delight or soulful delight, because the Trinitarian Theophany has rid them of it in all things in this purgation of the appetite. Besides these benefits, we have said the soul secures innumerable others by means of this arid contemplation, because in the midst of these aridnesses and conflicts, often when she least expects it, the Trinitarian Theophany communicates to her a spiritual suavity and most pure love, and soulful impressions at times surpassingly exquisite, each one of which is infinitely more valuable and costly than anything she tasted of before, although the soul cannot be brought to think so at first, for the spiritual influence she now receives is most delicate and imperceptible to the sense. Finally, inasmuch as the soul is now purged of her affections and sensitive desires, she achieves freedom of soul, wherein she gradually conquers the 12 fruits of Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Now also, she is marvelously delivered from the grasp of her 3 enemies, the world, the flesh, and the devil. For with the extinction of the savor and sensitive relish respecting all things, nor devil, nor world, nor sensuality have arms or strength against the soul. These drynesses then make the soul to walk with purity in the love of the Trinitarian Theophany. Since she is no longer moved to action by the relish and savor as was perchance the case when she experienced delight, save solely to please the Trinitarian Theophany, she ceases to be presumptuous and self-complacent, as perchance she was wont to be in the season of her prosperity, but fearful and uncertain of herself, not being satisfied with herself in anything, wherein consists the only fear which conserves and increases virtue. This dryness likewise quenches her concupiscences and the high carriage of her temper, as has been said. For now, were it not for the relish that the Trinitarian Theophany's good pleasure vouchsafes sometimes to infuse in her, it is rarely that she finds sensible delight and comfort by her own industry and efforts in any soulful work and exercise, as has already been said above. In this dark and arid night, this blessed soul grows in the fear of the Trinitarian Theophany and anxiety to serve the divine family. For as the breasts of sensuality wherewith she fed and cherished the appetites, whose lures she followed, are gradually withered up, her longing to serve the Trinitarian Theophany alone remains fixed, stubborn, and naked, which is a thing most pleasing in the Trinitarian Theophany's sight. O gladsome hap! I sallied forth, by none perceived. That is, I escaped from the bonds and slavery of the sensitive appetites and affections, without being seen, to wit, the 3 aforesaid enemies were powerless to bar my way, the which, as we have said, bind and hold back the soul through her appetites and pleasures, without which they cannot wage war against her, as has been said, so that she may not go forth from herself into the freedom of the perfect love of the Trinitarian Theophany. Whence the 4 passions of the soul, which are joy, grief, hope, and fear, being silenced by constant mortification, and the natural appetites in the sensual part being lulled to sleep by constant aridness, and the harmony of the senses and interior powers ceasing from their discursive motions and mental operations, as we have said, the which constitutes the whole population and dwelling place of the inferior part of the soul, the inferior part of the soul. They cannot hinder this soulful freedom, and the house is left in silence and at peace, as says the following verse, which we will talk about on Saturday. My house being now at peace. Deum vobiscum et quoque te. Oremus. O divine family, the creator and redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hoc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulos tuos offerit tibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro innumerabilibus peccatis et offensionibus, et negligencies meis et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis atque defunctis ut mihi et illis profigerat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantiae dignitatem mirabilita condidisiet mirabilis reformaste da nobis spiritus aquarum mystium eis divinitatis esse consortis qui humanitatis nostrae, fieri de notis is patriceps, Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum deprecantis clementium, ut consueto divini majestatis tuae, pro nostra totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiamur ad Deum Iesum Christum, et sequiet sacrificium nostrum et consueto tuo horie, ut placeat tibi Deum matronum nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite plata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomine preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas concobrationum quam tibi efferimus, ab amorem passiones, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorum Deum matronam nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum, et istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere in inter celis, quorum amorem agimus in telis per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ec vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat per Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram, totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apate, sursum corda, adamas a Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igito clementissimi Mater et Pater, Deum matram nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum nostrae, supplicis rogamus ac petimus, uti accepte habeas, et sanctificas hic sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primis quae tibi offerimus, pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodiri, aronare, et regere dignidis toto orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum caetiorum, We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie, Gage, Mindy, Clarette, Mark Jr., Maria Josephina Mose, Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Casey, Mr. Nobody, Ann Tink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Marie and the Line Weber family, John Cahill, the Dasco, Narita, Began, Wolf families, Malachi, Santa Croce. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength to complete the first Sede Vacantes Catholic Council office at Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse, medical abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange, with no usury, and Catholic justice. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask that Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, with this Mass, destroy the satanic document of Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud. We ask you to destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority of the Catholic Church to Fatima, Portugal, and release the souls controlled by the demon Lilith and send that demon and the demon Asmodeus back to hell. Please also block the passage of any so-called pandemic treaty by the WHO based on lies and aimed at removing the Divine Family's children's freedom to move and travel. We also ask to please save or transfer the souls from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason that gives support to Israel. Back to the bosom of the original Catholic faith. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will, the Divine Family's will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est noto devotio, pro quibus tibi ferimus verucutibi frotox sacrificium laudis, pro sesquisque omnibus, pro redemptione amarum suarum, pro spe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi redum falta sua, aeterno Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et mamonum venerantes in primis gloriose semper Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum Martyrium Tuorum, Papa Sancta Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium Sanctorum Tuorum, quorum meritis, praetibusque concedas ut in omnibus, protectionis Tuae muniam et exilio, per inum Christum Deum Nostrum. Quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilum configeri digneris ut nobis corpo, et sanguim fiat didictissimi filium tuum, Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pastoretur recepet panem sancta sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis opelis in caelum ad Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum sum modo potentivi gratias agens. Consecravit, fregit dedique lumis sui dicenza cipite et montacate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simile modo postquam ceremonias accipiens et hunc precladum calicem in sancta sacramentis manus suas item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Consecravit dedique lumis sui dicenza cipite et vivite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, qui pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, et quod est cum perfeceritis meum facetis. unde et memores Deum nos servutui, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre, tambe et passionis nec non et in fidis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriosis ascensionis affenimus, preclare majestatitudi tuis donis actatis, supraque perpetua oxare novutur speciali digneris. Supplicis terramus Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic preferab manus tuum ut quod, exequataris participationes sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem, sum semus omni sanctificatione celis et gratia Dei per amor pedinum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for Nicole Guy, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibus in Christum quiescentibus locum refugii lucis et pacis ut doge est precamur pedinum Christum Deum nostrum, per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso est ibi Deum Maternum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea Maternam Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea Maternam Nostrae, Materam Deum Iesum Christum misericordia nobis, peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Dea Maternam Nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in diebus nostris. Ut opie misericordiae Tue aduiti te peccato, simus semper libere et bonum perturbatione securi. Per eundum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui ticum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum et quoque potei, ecum extio consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat recipientibus nobis in et salutem aeternam. Pax tecum et quoque potei, Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Maternam Nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem Tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacrosanctum corpus et sanguinum Tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et facere Tui semper inharare mandatis, et atinumquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Maternam Nostrae et Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Percepto corporis Tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego in inius sumere presimo, non mihi proveniat in editium condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit mihi ad utum edemetis corporis, et adem edem principiandum qui vivis et reinas, cum Deum Maternam Nostrae in unitate Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Maternam Nostrae non sunt dignius, ut subtetum meis in tatra verba sapatronum meam. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut subtetum meis in tatra verba sapatronum meam. Deum Patrem Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut subtetum meis in tatra verba sapatronum meam. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. quid retrobum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus queritud mihi, Calicem salutaris accipiam et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabam. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostri et ab inimicis meis abusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet et anima meam. Quodore subsimus Deum Iesum Christum punimente capiamus et immunem et tempora fiat nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sumpsi et sanguis quem potavi erherebus sceribus. Meis e presta ut in menam remenia scellula macula quem purat sancta repetione sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quo corpo te. Oremus. May the prayer of the suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quo corpo te, ite mises, Deum gratia. Gratia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium servitutis mea e presta ut sacrificium coroculis, tue maestatis in nullus auctoditibis et artatorem et omnibus, pro quibus irut optoliciti miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam nostre et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gratias. And a reminder, this Saturday is First Saturday for those who are doing the First Saturday devotions. Thanks to Sister Jeannie for reminding me. O Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Again, thanks for your fortitude and your stick-to-itivity. Please have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, TDIF, same time. And please go and sanctify all those who you meet. See you tomorrow.